We have one. Thank you, Karen. However,
Okay, can we be seen enough for the people in Zoom?
yes.
Okay.
So probably they have it. Try and do it.
Where are,
It's not open. You can go ahead and start. Go ahead.
here they are. Participant one.
The
That's
only
you.
one on there is the whole. There's no other participant.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the February version of the Sacramento Storytelling Guild
It's fine.
Story Swap, our monthly event, and we're so glad that each and every one of you are here. So far, we don't have our two Zoom tellers hooked up, so we're going to start with the folks that are here. And if we get hooked up with the Zoom people, then we will. I wonder who I'm hearing over there. Anyway, my name is Mark Berry, and I have the honor to be.
Flip the thing, since we
Oh,
don't,
that's a good idea.
we don't need the camera, the television. Right now. Nope, that's only for the.
Pardon my back. So, welcome everyone. This month's theme is the power of love, and some of the stories and poems you hear will align with that theme, and some will not, because we like to give people a free hand. And so, without further ado, lovely Vicky, who's an old hand, she's been up here before. She's been a storyteller. She provides all the snacks. Come on, Vicky. Ladies and gentlemen,
New sporting.
our coordinator, and today she's going to read some poems to make us happy, make us smile. Here's Vicky.
Okay,
Go right ahead.
can you guys see me?
Yeah.
I can't tell.
Go right ahead.
Okay, don't worry. Okay. Hi, everyone. Good to be here. My first poem's called Just Lovely. Thank you in shades of red and blue, female and male, in a spectrum that defies reason and kisses slowly. Might not have been a good idea. My second one here is heart like a fist. A closed heart is like a clenched fist. An open heart is more than the size of a fist. It is a treasured storehouse. Every kiss, every breakup, every kindness done or given. The memories of each goodness and loss are etched into the linings and muscles, the arteries, veins, and valves, the atrium and ventricles of the hard-working heart. This is where our lovers live, our accomplishments, our sweet stories, our wonderings, hopes and dreams, all are found here in our heart. The next time you're thinking about these things, see where you enter into yourself. I bet it's the heart, not the brain, it's the heart that brings both picture and word in cardiac color and surround sound. Nothing is perfect. If it is, it's a Disney production. Please remember, I am not perfect, and in imperfection, there is beauty called creativity. I like to think we can create a beautiful life inside a world falling apart. Let's choose creativity. We both can have our lovely world in this time we call now. Oh, yeah. Oh. A love that stays. I am here now. A place that holds me accountable. My feelings are weird and clingy. You have returned to some part of my life. It is good and sort of scary. Intimacy is my favorite thing. Closeness, sharing, comforts, secrets, touches, whether spiritual or proxy. It does exchange as perfectly equal in my mind. I try to forget. I try to go on. I try to be happy. The closeness that was created changed me inside. I realized this is my mind and spirit, not yours. I am still so happy to feel that you are there. It was not supposed to happen. It was over for sure. I still love you. Yes, it's true. How will it be? You tell me, my love. Together or apart, the feelings exist. Tell me the truth. Will they persist? Oops, oops, oops. Sorry, guys. Maybe they will fade. You touched me deep. My heart goes ooga ooga. Deep, deep. Silly girl am I as I sigh, oh my. Okay. I think I'm gonna go over here. Think I still have time. Yep. Okay. My love, I am ready for higher worlds where I can be freed. Where what is said is truth in picture, word, and deed. I am not afraid to let you go, to align my mind with my body and soul. If you can hold my hand and be my heart, I will take you with me as I depart. If not, I must say goodbye, my love, to all that has gone before. I have learned many lessons about life. I strive to master more. May you be blessed in all you do, as I am blessed in all I choose. Let's hold each other one last time, dance together, each one divine. I love each memory and won't forget your words of comfort and content. Velvet soft and silky smooth, I still love you, my radiant moon. Tale to be told, there is fire in your eyes. Sometimes it warms me. Other times it sends me running away, not to you. Did you know? Free spirits don't like much fire. We prefer gentle winds, the element you really are. Don't get me wrong, there are secret places inside me that enjoy the sacred fire. I prefer my atmosphere to be just right, not too hot and not too cold, baby. Try to keep this in mind, just for me, my love, Goldilocks. About us. If you are lonely, then so am I. If you are jealous, then so am I. If you are sad, then so am I. What else can I be, baby? I am part of you. I breathe with you. My heart beats with yours. My love is your love. I am everything that you are not. We do not need two of everything when we occupy the same space. I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good.
Doing great.
Well, tomorrow starts Pisces season, and I have enough for about one more. So that's what I'm going to read about because I'm a Pisces. February 19th through March 20th. This is my season, Pisces season, the time when winter has hollowed us out. No reason to keep anything now, is there? Of course not. Everything changes. This is a time between -1 and +1, a time when dreams and hopes flourish, the wish and the wash of life, the back and forth, never know what is next. Show me your innards. I don't mind. Are they the way of the Vikings? Warriors that only know the fight? God, I hope not. Let you be like me. As my father called me when I found him at the bar, his little hippie, with a smile that lit my heart, still does. Yes, I am a Pisces and I am happy to feel the love of the universe, even when I am not sure of myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. Wow. Vicky Carroll, our caterer, coordinator, storyteller, and definitely poet. Thank you. That was wonderful. Wonderful. Do we have anybody on Zoom?
Nope.
No.
No, okay
it's
then,
Not gonna work.
okay then, that's okay, we can handle it.
What's happening is, apparently they can't get in with the thing that's on the flyer. I don't know why.
Okay, at this
thought-
moment, it's my great pleasure to invite up Linda Kennedy. Please come up. Linda Kennedy, I'm such a big fan of hers that I gave her the nickname Lindarella.
Yeah.
And that's what I think she is. And she says that someone had given her, please stand right here. She says that someone had given her that nickname once upon a time, but I don't believe it. I think I first came up with it. Linda has told at many venues and has led workshops for beginners and experienced tellers. And she will lead your imagination on an adventure, be it tales of whimsy or humor or heartfelt moments of peace and justice. And this tale is called A Ribbon of Synchronicity. Take it away, Linda.
Okay,
A ribbon like-
I have told this on Zoom a couple of times. However, when I heard that the theme was the power of love, I had to tell it again. We'll start with a favorite poem by Mary Oliver, which is called The Instructions for Living a Life. Pay attention. Be astonished. Tell about it. The end.
Good story.
In 1985, I decided to go back to school full time, finish up some courses I needed for a BA and get a teaching credential. It was the first semester I was back in school. I found out I had signed up for the wrong sociology class. And back then there was no online business. You had to get a withdrawal card, find a professor and get signed out of the class. So I rushed down to the lecture hall and he had already started. So I said, well, I'm just going to sit here till he's finished, get that card signed. I got out my notebook and I did some doodling and I looked up to see what he was talking about every once in a while, wrote a grocery list. And then he said something that caught my attention. And I said, oh, I need to write that down. And he said, oh, I'm going to write it down on the chalkboard, which he did. And I copied it. Later he signed off my withdrawal card and I headed home. The way I went home that day was by the Methodist church where I was a member. And I looked in the parking lot and it was full of cars of my friends. And I said, well, apparently I'm missing an important meeting. So I went on in and there were these women standing around and one woman was named Helen. And she was her husband, they were visiting her mother, who was also in that group there. She and her husband were just back from Laos. He was with the diplomatic corps. And she had told them about a peace project that was taking place coast to coast. And it was about where women could take a piece of white cotton that was about 30 inches long, 15 inches high, and put a message of peace on it and an illustration of something that you would miss forever if it was gone forever because of nuclear war. They said they had already decided, and the piece of cotton was there, by the way, in front of them, blank. They had already decided that what they wanted to illustrate was a field of wildflowers, but they didn't know what to write. And I said, oh my gosh, I ran out and got my notebook. I said, I just wrote these words down in the lecture hall. And I told them about me dropping the class and all of that. And I read it to them. And it was, there will be peace when the power of love is greater than the love of power. They said, that's it. That's exactly what we want. Claudia said she could do that in calligraphy and with liquid embroidery, she would make that field of wildflowers. So it was done. A few days later, it was mailed off where it was sewn one end and the other end to others that came across from across the nation. The committee who organized this project wanted enough ribbon to go around the Pentagon. The originator of the project had remembered how the people around our country had tied yellow ribbons around trees and lampposts when we had the Iraqi hostage crisis. And she said, well, that's what we need to do, except we need to tie a ribbon around the Pentagon. And so that's when she originated this project. She needed enough, and I don't remember exactly how many it was to go around the Pentagon, but she got 30,000 links. It was enough to go around the Pentagon and around several other federal buildings there in the city of Washington, D.C. Ruth and her sisters there from Gilroy went to see it. And when it was displayed, the weekend was August 5th, and it was the 40th anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima.
Oh.
I read later that there was I think 1,000 pieces saved that went around a peace monument in Hiroshima itself. Well, I was so excited that I had been a little part, just a little part of that effort. And the sisters who went with Helen there to see it actually found our strip. And I can only imagine that as they were sewn together, they were put in some type of a category by state, by county somehow, because I actually saw the little photograph of it. It was extremely personally moving to me to see that. How I could have heard those words, how I could have looked in the parking lot as it moved on to be a little piece of something that great. 30,000 women were there that day in Washington, D.C. They stood around holding the ribbon like this, side by side by side by side. They said it was very reverent, very peaceful. There was a feeling of love and friendship, but it was never, what would I say? It was never loud. It was peaceful. It was quiet. They said Pete Seeger was there singing songs of peace. I could only hope and imagine that one of the songs he sung, standing right in front of our piece of our ribbon, was "Where Have All the Flowers Gone?" Well, that would be the end of the story, but it's not. I went ahead and finished that education, got my credential, got a fourth grade classroom there in Gilroy. Loved my room, decorated it with, be yourself, never give up. All of those, there's no I in team, all of those posters that make 9-10-year-olds feel so good about themselves. I really loved that. One evening, I picked up the evening newspaper, the local paper. I like to read my friend Chuck's column. He wrote about the local performing arts in the area, and I wanted to see what was coming up. But that night, he did not write about performing arts. He wrote about his boss, the city planner, Mike Dorn, who had gone to Kiev, Ukraine, to a small government leadership conference. When his host family, where he was staying, found out he was from Gilroy, they got so excited. He goes, yeah, everybody's heard of the Garlic Festival. And they said, no, we're members of the Youth Peace Committee. Come with us. And they took him to an elementary school, maybe like where I taught. They took him to a classroom. I'm sure it had desks and chairs and everything, just like I had. And they took him over to a wall. And there on that wall was a strip of white cotton that said, there will be peace when the power of love is greater than the love of power. There were wildflowers, and at the bottom, it said, the United Methodist Women of Gilroy, California. Apparently, that ribbon, those 30,000 pieces, had been clipped apart and sent to all parts around our earth. What are the chances that our dear Mike Dorn stayed in that home? That ribbon of synchronicity. Mary Oliver says, pay attention, check. Be astonished, check. Tell about it.
Thank you. Well, now you'll know why I gave her that nickname. He's a good storyteller. Thank you, Linda. And our next storyteller is right here in person, and it's Christine Hammond. Would you come on up, please, Christine? Christine tells me that she's a 70-year-old woman living with her mother. And so instead of just talking to herself, she talks to anybody that'll listen. Perfect.
Am I good?
Perfect.
Hopefully, okay.
Better than good.
Hi, I'm Christine Homan, and I'm going to tell you a rather different story than Linda's. I feel terrible. I should have maybe gone last. Because my power of love story is a little different. In fact, I told this story 3 years ago, almost to the day, with Ed Lewis at a cafe, I think it was. My story is called Benori, and it's a 16th century folktale. Once upon a time in a land far away, there was a king and a queen that had 3 children, a son named Hugh and 2 daughters, Briar and Rose, and they ruled the land from a lovely bower on the bonny mill streams of Benori. Now, Briar was a beautiful raven-haired beauty that had caught the attention of king, queen, and court until the second child was born, and her name was Rose. And with the rosy cheeks and the golden red hair, she was considered to be the epitome of the perfect child, which did not bode well with Briar at all. And her heart grew very dark against her little sister. And even though the little sister would try and win her heart as they grew up, she just knew that she was not liked by Briar. Anyway, it came time when Briar was welcoming handsome young men to court her, and little sister just stayed clean out of her way. And there was one particularly handsome man named Sir William, and he came wooing the oldest child, and having won her heart, plighted her troth with glove and ring. And Briar was ecstatic. She loved Sir William with all her heart, and they spent many a happy day together. But Sir William's a foolish young man. He began to look with favor on the little sister. And pretty soon his heart went out to the little golden red hair girl, and it dwindled for Briar. Well, this did not bode well with Briar at all, and her heart darkened and darkened as she plotted and she planned as how she was going to be rid of her little sister. And so it came one day, one beautiful bright day, where Briar came to her little sister and said, "Let's go down to the Benori River and watch Father's boats come in." And little sister was excited. She donned her beautiful dress, and they went hand in hand down to the rushing mill streams of Benori. And once there, little sister got up on a rock to watch the beaching of the boats. And that is when older sister got behind younger sister, caught her around the waist, and dashed her into the rushing mill streams of Benori. Little sister popped back up. "Sister, sister, grab me your hand, and I will give you everything I have and all that I will inherit." And oldest sister said, "No, my hand will not touch yours, you who have come between me and my heart's true love." Little sister, she's being pulled fiercely down away from the shore. "Sister, sister, lend me your glove. You can have Sir William back." And the older sister said, "Shame on my glove that touches yours. I will have Sir William back once you've sunk beneath the bonny mill streams of Benori. So sink on, little sister, sink on." And with that, she turned and she went back to the palace. And little sister was pulled very fiercely and very violent down the mill stream towards the Benori Falls, sometimes sinking and sometimes swimming, but all being pushed very violently down. Well, later on the day, the miller's daughter was preparing dinner, and she had to go to the streams to fetch water. And when she did, she saw something white bobbing, coming very fiercely down the stream. "Father, father," she said, "raise your dam. I see like a milk white swan coming, and it'll go over the falls." And he quickly went to his riggings and he rowed up the dam, and the water sloshed and sloshed and sloshed and sloshed. And he waded out into the water, and he pulled in the little girl. Fair and what she was, beautiful, with all the little stones and pearls in her hair, golden wet hair. And you couldn't see her waist for the golden girdle she wore, or the golden tassels that wrapped it around her lily white feet. But she was drowned. And the miller and his daughter suddenly became very fearful that they could be blamed for this very wealthy young girl's death. So they picked her up and they took her out into the woods, and they went very far away from their dwelling, and they laid her out underneath the elder trees. And all of a sudden they heard somebody coming up the path behind them, and they hastened home as quickly as they could. And up the path came whistling a famous harpist. And he was on his way to the next town to do a concert. And as he was walking, he suddenly stopped in his tracks because he saw this beautiful maiden laid out. And he was silenced by her beauty. It touched him so deeply. And he knew he had to go on because he was due for this concert. And he took the picture of that girl's beautiful image in his head all the way and played his music with always her face in his mind. And one day, many months later, he was on his way back through those same woods, and he was kind of looking for any remains of this girl. And what he found were her bones and some of her hair. And so he picked up her breastbone, and he took some of her hair, and he fashioned a new harp in tribute to the beautiful girl's memory. And he plunked it just a little bit, and it softly sang. It was very haunting. So he put that instrument in his backpack with his other one, and he went down to the Bonori River, and then he started his long climb up many miles up to the king's castle for a concert that he was due for. Well, that night, everyone was pulled in for the big hall. Everybody was excited to hear this harpist. They had heard so much about him, and all was hushed. Court, king, queen, all sat, and candlelit, and it was beautiful. And he came and he sat on the floor, and he put the harp that he had newly made on the stone floor in front of him. And he picked up his old instrument and he began to play. And he played merry songs that made them clap and cheer. And then he played ballads, soft ballads and crying ballads, and made them tearful. And he moved the audience just the way he liked it. And when he was done, applause went up, and then it came down, and there was quiet. And suddenly the harp in front of him sprang to action. It started to sing and hum, and he looked at it, and the audience did too. And this is what it sang. There stands my father the king, Benori, oh Benori, and yonder sits my mother the queen on the bonny mill dam of Benori. And there stands my brother Hugh, Benori, oh Benori, and behind him my William false and true, by the bonny mill dam of Benori. And all was hushed. And that's when the harpist told his story about seeing the young girl and how he made this harp. And then all of a sudden the harp sprang into action again. And this is what it sang. And yonder sits my sister who drowned me in the bonny mill dam of Benori. And the harp snapped and broke and played no more. But all eyes turned to Blair and what she committed in the name of love. Bernard.
I'm murderous.
Wow. Christine, it's been too long since I've heard you tell. That was an amazing story and wonderfully told. Thank you so much. Beautiful. And now we have Gail Ryall. And Gail says she's one of the oldest storytellers. Now, I know that could be taken either way, so. She used to be a children's librarian at the Sacramento Public Library. This story is a fantasy, now in honor of Black History Month. It's called Ellen and Her Love. Just in front of the curtain. I give you Gail Ryle.
Let's see. Oh dear. I'm not sure I can remember. I've been practicing and practicing and now I can't remember. Let's see. What is the name of the story?
Ellen and Her Love.
Ellen and Her Love. Okay. Ellen was a black girl, but she was the slave. Her mother was a slave, worked in the big house kitchen, but her father was the old master himself. And when she was born, he declared her free for life. When Ellen was grown, she fell in love with Josh. Joshua was Joshua was a skilled musician, and he played and oh dear, I practiced this and practiced it. And I can't remember. Anyway. He played people. Everyone in the neighborhood wanted to borrow him till he would play for their singing. And anyway, her mother didn't approve. She said, "He's a slave and you're free." And but Ellen said, "But I love him." So anyway, she went to the old master himself and told him that what she wanted, and he agreed that they should get married. So and not only that, he said he would he would officiate at the wedding. So they were married, and then Joshua played for everyone to dance. But then the old master died, and the new master was he cared for nothing but money. First of all, he sold off a lot of his land, and then, since he had less land, he didn't need as many slaves. So he decided to sell his slaves. And one of the first slaves that he advertised was Joshua. And Ellen went to him and he said, "You shouldn't sell Joshua. He's your most valuable slave." And he said, that's why I need to sell him. Otherwise I'd have to sell 2 or 3 of the others. My mouth gets so dry. Anyway, so Ellen thought about it and decided maybe the Conjure Woman can help. Conjure Woman lived about 5 miles down the road. So one day Ellen went down the road to the Conjure Wife. And when she went inside and told her the problem, Conjure Wife told her to sit down while she developed something. And so she stood by the sink and she made things and so forth and put things together and muttered some spells and so forth. And then she gave a little packet to Ellen and said, this is a conjure pack. It's very powerful. Take your husband out into a grassy area and put this around his neck. So Ellen did, and after she did this, suddenly her husband changed into a tree. She ran back to the Conjure Wife and said, my husband turned into a tree. And the Conjure Wife said, oh, well, all you have to do is take the conjure pack and put it around the tree and it'll turn back into your husband. Well, when Josh didn't show up to work the next day, it was assumed that he'd run away. So they called out the dogs and the bloodhound. They gave the bloodhounds one of his old shirts to sniff, and they thank you very much. And they went off and when they came to the tree, they stopped. Well, they looked all around. They tried to make the dogs go further, but they wouldn't go. So they gave up. Well, for a number of years, she lived with Josh, and then the old master died, and the new master cared for nothing but money. First of all, he sold some of his land, and then he didn't need as many slaves to work it. So he decided to sell some of his slaves, and the first one that he advertised was Joshua. did I
Yeah,
tell
you
you all
did
this
that
before?
one.
I did.
You're already at the
Yes,
tree.
I'm sorry. I'm
You're around the tree.
okay. So, oh, I know, he decided he needed a new smokehouse. And, he looked around for the tallest tree around, and that tree was Joshua. So, he had the tree cut down, and they built a smokehouse out of it. Well, when the cook sent somebody out to the smokehouse to pick up a ham or something like that, they came back and reported to her that there was a strange light in there, and that there was a great moaning and groaning. And when the cook went out to check for herself, she saw that there was a strange light in there, and there was this moaning and groaning. Well, one day, the new master was riding home late from a party that was held at some other place, and he saw the light of the smoke. The door of the smokehouse was open, and there was a light inside. And he thought somebody was trying to steal his meat, so he went to the front, and there he heard the moaning, and the groaning, and the light. And so the next day, he had his men carry the smokehouse out into the woods, and he had a different tree cut down and made a new smokehouse. Well, Ellen went out to where the old smokehouse was, and she moaned, and it moaned and groaned, she moaned and groaned along with it. She missed Joshua so much. And then one day she found herself stumbling along the road down to the conjure wife's house. When she stumbled in at the door and stammered out her story, the conjure wife said, "You've forgotten the power of the conjure bundle." So Ellen went back. She took the conjure pack, and she went around the smokehouse, and then she opened the door, and inside was Joshua with his fiddle in his hand, and they lived together for many, many years out in the woods. I haven't finished yet. And when they finally died, both at the same time, of the smokehouse fell into ruin, and out of its dirt floor there grew two small trees. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Your water's ready. Thank you, Dale Royal. Ellen and her love. That's a beautiful, beautiful tale. I like that. I like things that are mysterious and mystical. I like that very much. And now we have a poet, Beth, and Beth, want to work your way on up here. And I want to apologize to Vicky. I apologize for throwing you under the bus and putting you up first. You were supposed to be up third after the online people. This is Beth Bartell. Beth is a mom, a union steward, an accessibility advocate. She views poetry as events through life, finding joy with the pain. So Beth,
Thank you.
the floor is yours.
Grandma. Her leathery weathered hands ceasing only when sleeping, making ham and oleo sandwiches, throwback to the Depression. I ate them because she made them. Her calloused, cracked hands refurbishing her flea market $50 china hutch to a shimmering sateen, the only thing my mother wanted when her mother passed. Her bright blue eyes quick to twinkle and wink at a silly joke or wisecrack, squinting sternly when I challenged her older notions on race, gender, sexuality, her wordless when she was impressed with my arguments. Her nimble, gnarled fingertips focused on organic gardening, holistic healing, jewelry making, her garden an oasis of orchids, roses, and vegetables in a downtown desert. Her home remedies tackled mosquitoes, indigestion, and everything else. Her necklaces and earrings presented to each daughter and granddaughter, treasured and cherished. This was how she showed her love. No lap time cuddles, no bedtime stories, but she cooked a mean holiday feast with homemade gravy from the drippings. While she was here, she never tousled my hair, caressed my face. But just some short days after she left us, I felt fingers at the nape of my neck. A calming, soothing touch, just when I was struggling. Happened again a few days later. And then another week, and I felt it again. Right when I was forgetting to breathe. Something told me it was her hands. Watching, guiding, planting seeds. It still happens sometimes. At my most hopeless moments. This is how she shows her love.
Wow, very nice.
People think a caterpillar sleeps its way through metamorphosis. Just magically wraps itself and hibernates to wake up to a gorgeous new creation. Kind of like the best Beverly Hills plastic surgeon put it under anesthesia only to be reverse Frankenstein, the original Extreme Makeover. It's much more gruesome. The caterpillar digests itself, leaving a viscous black ooze that molds itself into a new creation. I'm not sure where you fit in my larval stage. I deconstructed myself to be with you. I did it again to leave you, and again to heal from you. Now from my chrysalis, I unfurl my wings. Raw, new breath. I fly. Her heart is forgiving. Front walk flooded with freebies. Repurposed Barbie dream house teeming with books. Discarded two-wheeled pull trailer. Makeshift pantry for cans and grains. Old rusted wheelbarrow. Interior repainted with flowers. Rusty old TV tray broadcasts. Take a plant, leave a plant. The whole setup stolen before. Now she keeps it chained down because folks will try to take everything. but exposed shelves make all ready for the grabbing. And she's woken to everything gone a couple times. But she breathes deep and keeps putting more out there. Figures they must really need it. Make like a fly in light. I did her underfoot, trying her ceaseless patience. Buttered toast nearly ready. My confuddled ears perk. What's that mean? Her wry smile barely forms. She peers down at me, hands me the plate. It means stop buzzing about and find a place to land. Her gentle ribbing over my head. Her words intrigue. I plop at the table, enjoy my snack. Mom's best friend, my best friend's mom, spent hours in her home nearly daily, and her son in mine. Hyper bouncy me, often aggravating, never raised her voice. At my most vexing, never wavered in her gentle firmness. The family's half joked he and I'd marry someday. Friends since 4, always getting caught playing doctor in the closet. We vacillated as we grew, sometimes lovers, other times friends. I wonder what her hopes were, but we were better as brother-sister. Now, half a continent between us. I get busy with life, forget to call or write, but I know she thinks of me, prays for me, loves me.
Yeah.
We took the tree down, ornaments stacked in boxes, tree disassembled into its storage bag, stocking stowed for next year. Our first Christmas over. Her tradition is to leave the tree lights on 24/7. A little strange, but interesting until I got used to it. A nice sight to walk into the room, especially late at night, a little light to guide your path. With her usual efficiency, she started unstringing the string. I said nothing, but a little piece of my heart broke off. Until she said, I think we need to keep these lights up. Wound them around the TV stand. I smiled. She kept going with her usefulness until everything else was carefully stored. Then she refilled my coffee and sat down with a good book. Tender weeping willow branches sagging, drooping, aching to reach the ground, yet the thick trunk remains anchored. Pliable, supple, offering gracious shade for a hot summer day. Fluffy, delicate willow seeds tuft sprinkle the sinews, waiting for the slightest breeze to lift and drift them away. With a stronger wind, all the tendrils move as one, a happily waving banner. Find an errant branch on the ground, and it's a kid's torture device to snap, crack, whip on your friends. Just try to get one off the tree so you can get even, pulling, tugging, yanking, and all you get is self-inflicted snap and crack, whiplash welts on your arms and a handful of leaves. The branch refuses to budge from its mother home. Don't weep for the willow, and don't underestimate the willow. She'll get by just fine.
Yeah.
Yellow walks into a room and everyone stops. Some think yellow is neon bright, pulsating, headache inducing. Others say it's chartreuse, dizzying, nauseating. You might like its buttery, soft, creamy comfort, or its cheery, brilliant sunflower. Some can take or leave its dark mustard tones. Yellow couldn't be ignored if it tried. It can't hide in a corner or blend in with the crowd, so it stopped trying. Even as an accent, it still upstages and steals the show. People always find a way to notice. Yellow, whether they like it or not, whether it wants to be seen or not, people always have to comment about yellow, whether they were asked their opinion or not. But now, yellow has grown into itself. Every morning, Yellow stands in front of the mirror and says, what matters most is if I am my best me. And then it gets on with its best day. You don't need Ritalin, he scoffs. It clouds your mind as he drags on his doobie. What I don't do is, shut the fuck up, you ableist bastard. Every inch of me clenches, screams inside. What I don't tell him is who I was as a kid. Glittering, jittering, skittering, my mind wasn't just clouded. Fog had rolled in and set up camp, squatters' rights and all. Perfectly focused on what mattered to me, oblivious to what didn't. Chaos every second, fights every day. I also don't tell him my holistic loving mother didn't want to dope me up until my volcano erupted and I was expelled. Realization sunk in. No elimination diets could feed my dopamine-starved brain. Desperation took over. No herbal balm, my norepinephrine famished frontal cortex. She consented. Suddenly the fog lifted. Bulldozers rolled in to clear out muck and mess. The sun broke through and I could finally see. I don't have any fight left to educate idiots. I do need Ritalin, I say, before I get up and walk out.
Wow.
The world dropped me off at the side of the road and said, take a hike. Standing alone, wondering what I did wrong. Sometimes crying. Sometimes seething. Sometimes zen. They don't want to worry about a clumsy, baggage-laden spaz, cluelessly fumbling and stumbling through life. No compass or map to guide me. No sextant to tell me how far. So I try hitching a ride, weathering the elements, cold, hot, wet, dry, standing, waiting for help. Most don't bother to stop. Those who do aren't going my way. Those who don't want to wait for me to catch up. Those precious few who let me hop on later decide my bulk is too much for their fuel. Even when I offered at a great cost, it's easier to leave me behind. See, the key is not to stick out your thumb, expecting someone to stop for you, waiting for permission that almost never arrives. Or when granted, comes with a hefty fare of guilt and shame. I get my own ride. Raucous, unapologetic, big enough for my heft and then some. Sometimes I wander, get lost, find other solo souls along the way. I always stop for them. Sometimes they hitch, sometimes they don't. Some get off at the next stop, some ride for days or years. They're never left alone unless they want it. I'll get there someday. Anyone with me can just enjoy the ride.
Wow. Beauty and haunting and angst, and it just took me on a roller coaster of emotions there.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was all good. Well, now I'm going to ask Gloria Jones to come on up. And this young lady tells me that she's another retired school teacher like Lindarella, a mom of 3, a grandmother of 7, and something I love, especially for February, she says she's married to the best guy in the world.
Wow.
Could you bet?
With a great name.
Yeah,
Yes.
Gloria.
Okay, everybody, we've had all this happiness and we've had love. We're going back to 5th grade. We're going back to the mean, lean, ugly part of life, okay? And I'm going to tell you a story of a little girl named Kay. And Kay hated grammar. She had a wicked teacher that even made her diagram sentences. Now, I don't know if many of you know what that is, but it involves taking it apart and finding out what's the noun and what's the verb. Well, Kay hated it. So one night after she had done her homework, or shall we say, balled it up and thrown it into the trash can, she said, I hate this. I absolutely hate it, Mommy. I hate it. They should just overthrow this whole grammar thing. That's what they should do. They should just get rid of it. And her mother said, okay, you don't mean that. She said, I do mean it. They should just overthrow it. And off she went to bed. So she nestled down, put her little head on the pillow, and she was just about to fall asleep when there was a tap, tap, tap on her shoulder. So she automatically figures, well, okay, Mom must want something, whatever. She turns around and there's this queenly looking being standing beside her in front of her bed with the crown and the robe and the whole 9 yards. And Kay goes, who are you? And the queenly thing goes, I am Natasha Noun. I name all things. It is my job to decide what everything is called. That is what I do. But I agree with you, child. This whole thing needs to be changed and taken down and made new, because I, Natasha Noun, have been objectified. Yes, I have to become a direct object. Far too. And little girl, you know what direct objects do. They receive action. And there are all kinds of actions out there. And a lot of them nobody should have to take. So I want this destroyed. You're right. And then she goes, come here, come here. And to Kay's surprise, another being walks in. Now this being is a little bit draggled and kind of overworked looking. And she says, my name is Abigail Adjective, and she's beautiful and wonderful and kind. But then she gets a little closer to Kay and she says, she's cross, cranky, and crazy is what she is. And I'm ready to get this all over with too. I think we should overthrow the thing, because I have to follow her around telling everybody how she looks, how she feels, blah, blah, blah. And I've had it with her. And so Kay listens. And then the next thing she knows, a kingly looking person comes in and she's going, this is my bedroom, isn't it? Anyway, the kingly looking person comes in and he goes, I am Virgil Verb. And I agree with you, young lady, that this whole thing should be just trashed and we should start it all over again. Because I have to put the movement, the energy, the action in any sentence on your page. I want you to know that. And I am tired of it. I am sick and tired of it. I even have to be the verb of being. I have to link things. And I want you to know that I am overworked. And I too think that we should just get rid of all of this. Come, Andy, come tell. And so to Kay's amazement, another being, a little overworked looking, drags in. Yeah, I'm Andy Adverb, man. And hey, man, I got to tell everybody the when, where, and how of everything he does. And man, I had enough of it. I think we should get rid of this too. I mean, I've had it up to here with this. So Natasha, having heard all of this, is very pleased. Kay herself is confused, but Natasha goes, I who name all things now christen this court. Kay looks around. She's no longer in her bedroom. She's now in a courtroom. And there are all these beings, and there's this magistrate looking person up there. And she's like, oh gosh. So before she can really get a reaction out, Natasha grabs her by the scruff of her neck and pushes her up there. And Natasha says, Governor Grammer, this child wants you overthrown. Yes, she does. And Kay is like, so your wordiness, your dictionary, your verbosity. Well, I don't know what's going on. I just was having trouble with my homework, and and then Virgil says, she wants you overthrown. So the governor of grammar is looking at this and he's thinking, my goodness, this is a mess. And Virgil says, where's the judge? We want the judge. Somebody has to adjudicate this mess. So get the judge in here. And the governor says, well, I'm sorry. The judge has been sentenced. He's in the middle of an important paragraph and he will not be disturbed. So you're just gonna have to deal with me. So, all right. He said, and if this is supposed to be an overthrow, well, then we're going to need to hear from all the other words, and there's going to have to be a distinct and overwhelming majority. So Kay is still looking around like, wow, this is really interesting, sort of. So the first person to come up before the magistrate, but first the magistrate asks an important question. He goes, this doesn't have anything to do with punctuation, does it? Because punctuation is always causing one problem or another. Natasha goes, no, we can't blame this on punctuation. We're just all overworked and we want to get rid of this. So the first person that comes up from the crowd in the courtroom is a small little lady, kind of shy. Well, my name is Constance, Constance or Connie Conjunction. And there are times when I have trouble coordinating my thoughts, but I don't know. I think I like my job, but I just want to put things together and go on about my business. But all too often, we got a dog and a cat, and let's just make the sentence and go on. But I try to do that. And the next thing I know, Abigail or Andy come in. It can't just be a dog and a cat. It has to be a beautiful furry dog and a fine, outstanding cat. I mean, I just like to hook it up and let's go. And don't even mention the prepositions. Well, when she says prepositions, the whole courtroom just goes all crazy because they're everywhere. They're over, up, out, round, over, in, under, off, up, and they're laughing and they're making fun of people. They're running between people's legs. They've got brown noses and they say, we love what we do. We're in, out, over, and around. There's nothing we can't do. You can't put us down. And if you don't like it, they pointed to the four in the corner. Well, you can just get lost because we're happy. And everybody in the courtroom is like, oh gosh, here they are dragging people into their phrases. They're just, oh, God, so disgusting. But the governor of grammar finds them charming. He likes them so much. He says they give us so much information. They're just wonderful. Where would the context be without them? So thank you, prepositions. You may scurry off, and scurry off they do, but not before they go to everything. So the next to come forward is Paula pronoun. Paula is dignified. Paula is quiet. Paula has a solitary existence. She says, well, I'm sure that the whining is coming from the usual four, but I am solitary. I mean, it's just me, myself, and I. I spend much of my time checking my reflexes, and now an inordinate amount of time chasing down antecedents. And that's not as easy as it used to be. And who else wants to interrogate? I feel that all of this is just a big harangue over nothing. I would love to have the company of the beautiful suffixes and prefixes that they get to enjoy, but no, I'm alone. And off she goes. But Governor of Grammar catches on to that. He's, oh, the prefixes and suffixes, they're so wonderful. The old immigrants who came over from the old country, bringing that great Greek and Latin into us. What would we do without them? This is wonderful. But we have to hear from the interjections. And Natasha says, we don't, no, we don't need to hear from the interjections. They're far too emotional to be taken seriously. And in they come. Wow, gee, God. Hey, wow, say, hey, we love what we do. We're always around when something important or exciting happens. I mean, it don't get no better than that. Wow. And you guys have a problem because we're okay. And off they go. So now it's time for the governor to make a decision here. And so he says, well, this is just, we have no majority. Everybody's pretty happy, but you four have caused quite a problem. And you know what? The four of them go up and point to Kay and said, it's her fault, Governor. She's the one that wanted to overthrow you. We think she should get some kind of punishment. That's what we think. So the governor of Grammar thinks, says, well, yeah. Says, yeah, I can see that. Kay, I'm going to punish you. Yes, what I'm going to do. I'm going to make you diagram some sentences. And Kay says, oh, no. And he says, yeah, let me see. I'm going to find a book. I know, War and Peace. So Kay, not having known about this book, she says, War and Peace. Oh, okay, but I do have one question. And the governor of Grammar goes, well, what's that? She says, does it have a lot of pictures?
Gloria. Good job, Gloria. My goodness. How can you possibly remember all those characters and all those details? Get them straight. Oh, me too.
I read it from my 5th grade class, like 20 years ago.
Oh.
To teach them about grammar.
They must have rolled on the floor laughing. That was wonderful.
Did we get that on, is that?
It's
As far as I know,
Thank
yeah.
you. I will play that for my mom.
Well, I think Gloria's well named. I think she's a glorious storyteller. And I won't tell you my age when I finally figured out the true difference between an adjective and an adverb, but it was not in grammar school. I can tell you that. Well, our next and last teller, because unfortunately the 2 Zoom tellers didn't make it because of technological issues. So our final and last but not least is Karen Daly. I'll ask Karen to come up now. Karen is a big part of the Sacramento Storytelling Guild and has been for a long time. A hard worker and a great supporter. She began telling outlandish fibs to her mother to get out of all kinds of things. Very young. She has told many stories in her 32 years at Toastmasters and now at the Sacramento Storytelling Guild. I forgot to announce the name of Gloria's story. That was called Word Weary. Perfect name. And the name of Karen's story is Feeling Excited and Dread at the Same Time. Take it away, Karen.
Thank you, Mark. I was born at the very end of what they called the baby boomers. So in the early 60s, we weren't quite expected to just graduate from high school, get married, and start our families. There was a little allowance for some time to maybe go to work or even go to college. Well, I'd had enough of school. No more school for me. I was going to go get a job. And that I did. I started at the Bank of America as a legal secretary in the trust department. And I loved my job. Just a coincidence, the parking garage where I left my car each day was owned by a friend, and he had a friend, and he introduced me to who would become my husband. But at the time, I had just had a bad relationship. He had had a bad relationship. We just wanted to be friends. Well, you know the rest of the story. Friends led to more and more, and then we got married. And did we want to have children? Yes, I did. Now, I was from a family of 4. But I had no problem as a babysitter. I used to babysit for a family of 12. And I loved it. I loved playing games and making games so the older ones would take care of the younger ones and see who could dress and undress and get them all ready for bed. We had wonderful time. So I wanted at least 6 kids. Told before we got married that I wanted a large family. And he said, okay. Now he was a only
Oh.
child. And sorry to say, of 2 alcoholics. So he really didn't know about family and kids until he married into my family. And we always had children running around. So it came time. I guess I have to back up and tell you, I'm one of these that I am prepared before I have something. So I knew I wanted to have a family, but I knew I wasn't going to go back to work after I had that baby. I was going to be a full-time mom. So I set out in my first 2 years of marriage to pay off all his bills, save enough money for a down payment on a house. And then we moved into the house, and then I was pregnant. To say that there was excitement in the family for having a baby, I couldn't tell you how much excitement. First of all, as I told you, he was an only child, and his mother was ecstatic that she would be a grandmother. But of course, I knew we would never be able to leave that baby with her. And that was a shame because she really wanted to be a grandma. And my parents, although I had an older sister, she was only able to have one child because of health issues. So my parents were really looking forward to having more grandchildren. I even got for a Christmas present a little statue, bank statue of a little boy with red hair, blue eyes, and the name Patrick on the bottom, which happens to be my son's name. Anyway, the family was all excited, and so was I. I was gonna be a mom. Wow, wow. Then I started talking to some people that had just had babies, and there were some problems, a little pain involved in this, and you might have to have shots, and they might have to cut you, and you might be in labor for 32 hours. I said, what? Oh, I'm not sure I want to go through with this, but by now I had a basketball. I knew I was going into delivery. Oh, I was so excited, and I was ready to, and doctor, was so excited. Now, at the time, I belonged to Kaiser, and you never knew what doctor was going to deliver you. You didn't get your own obstetrician. So it was so exciting when they finally took me in there. Oh, I have to back up. To tell you how excited it was, is I was in labor and didn't know it. I have a very high threshold of pain, and I had been having pain for a couple of hours. Oh, just a little back here, a little charge here, nothing to think about. Finally, we were watching the news, and I'm, kind of moving around. My husband says, "What's with you? Every 10 minutes you're, going." I said, "Oh, I got a pain here, spasm." He said, "They're on time. They're time. Call the hospital," and in we went, and they got me all prepped. And I said, "Well, when am I going to have this baby?" And they looked, and they said, "Well, you're already 5 centimeters. I don't think it's going to be too long." And I took a nap. I played some cards. I visited with my husband. And 2 hours later, I said, "I'm having this baby. Take me to the delivery room." And that literally was it. Within 4 hours of having what I didn't know was pain, finding out I had pain, getting into the hospital, into the labor room. And did I tell you there is pain? And the doctor says, "I'm going to give you a shot." I got a shot. And he said, it will help because I have to cut. It's gonna hurt. Oh, so get the shot, that, and then all of a sudden I want to put, I said, I'm pushing, this baby's coming, 2 pushes and popped. Her right out. Doctor couldn't believe it. And when I looked up, because I didn't even look who the doctor was, it was my own obstetrician. He just was coming on call and he heard that I was there. So we quickly came in and he delivered my baby. The power of love. I could tell you I knew there was pain. You hear it from anybody that's given birth, whether it's a cesarean or live birth, that there's pain. But when that baby, they put that baby in your arms, put that baby on your chest, that's the true power of love. Because that pain disappeared. And I really could never truly explain the pain. I just know that I had pain. But that little love, that little bundle of love, yes, that truly is the power of love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Karen. Well, that certainly fit our theme for today, this month, the power of love. And I figured that out. I figured out on my own that mothers forget about the pain. Otherwise, we would all be only children. Just kind of makes sense to me. I get to announce that the Sacramento Valley Storytelling Festival is coming. It's coming in May. It's going to be on Saturday, May 20th. And somebody made up a beautiful, gorgeous flyer.
Yes.
All about it. Is that Karen?
No, that was Joyce.
Joyce. Thank you, Joyce. This is beautiful. Have any of you ever heard in any format at all? Have you ever heard Willie Clayton and Maynard the Moose? Only 2 of you, 3 of us. The rest of you are in for a huge delight to meet Willie Clayton and Maynard the Moose.
He's going to do his workshop, is going to be using puppets.
He's going to do the workshop. And anyway, he's really something to behold. We also have Claire Hennessy. We also have Corey Rosen, famous, well-known storytellers and teachers, and regional tellers. We're going to have, oh, there's Mark Berry's name on, and there's Linda Kennedy, and Gene Green, and Tanner Fustel, and Caron Smith. Anyway, it's going to be fabulous. It's going to be at the Dante Club on Fair Oaks. It's going to be from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. Plus 2 workshops, plus an open mic. And it is just going to be a day of delightful storytelling. So put it on your calendar, May 20th. And please get on our email list. If you haven't signed up, please print your email so that anyone can read it. And we'll keep you posted. Thank you all for coming today. Thanks for making this a wonderful. Oh, and next month, don't forget to come back next month when John Petrick is going to be the host, and he is a wonderful up and coming storyteller. He just started and already is great. And the theme is going to be, yeah, it's going to be that March theme. Yes. So come back next month and find out what the theme is. And John will be the host. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
You can go on our website and we have a list of all the.
Yeah,
programs.
Sacramento Storytellers.
.org.
There are snacks and beverages. Enjoy. Snacks and beverages, popcorn, cookies.
Yep.
Please avail yourself.
Recording.
I tried to, but
Gotta go up here.
enroll with the bunch. They could have.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just felt they couldn't see us.
That's too bad. I know they were.